Hello, and welcome to the podcast that discusses all things gaming. Coming to you from the home of Indie PopCon, Gen Con, and the gaming capital of the world, we are the Established Facts.
Everybody, this is the Established Facts doing a little bit of an after the fact of Slot 1 at Fear the Con 10. I am one of the hosts, of course, Josh. And real quick, let everybody do a quick introduction, starting to my left.
I'm Lance.
I'm Avital.
I'm still Adam, as far as I'm aware.
And obviously you've heard many of us on the show in the past, and we figured after a very good Slot 1, we'd come together and kind of summarize how the Slot 1 went. And Lance specifically asked for this because he's a fan of gaming stories.
So good, it ended early.
It's a difficult thing. I have no problem as the game master admitting that I came into this purposefully improving the session. I had a story plot. I wanted to go with the Daleks were going... Originally, it was going to be the Daleks were actually coming to invade the Earth. And now it was going to be this combat as to who was going to get the Earth. But you guys turned it around and got the other players on your side. So, to kind of set the scene, some of you may remember...
Who was going to get the Earth?
Yes, I was.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Dr. Joke's good.
Hey.
So to kind of set the scene, though I was never given, what original planet they were from. If you remember a few episodes back when we were doing the character generation with the group template, the sci-fi opera of the Star Trek type crew was put together of this group of aliens who had stumbled upon the Earth, calling it Teal 3, as I've been corrected, and were...
Weren't you corrected to Teal 5?
Well, no.
He said Teal 5. I said it was Teal 3.
Don told me it was Teal 5.
No, it was Teal 3 because it's the third rock from the sun.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get the either way, it was a teal numbered planet. And
It was a teal number.
and this particular
Teal X
group
or X all 4.
The particular group of aliens had taken up positions as science officers and first officers, and some was humans that had gotten stranded on Mars, or dogs that had got stranded on Mars. And I wanted to run with that, but I also wanted to bring back a Doctor Who story that I had run 2 or 3 years ago back at, I think it was Fear the Con 8. I'm pretty sure it was.
It was my first Fear the Con.
Was it Fear the Con 8 or 7?
That would have been 7.
Yeah,
okay, 7.
Yeah.
Because I was me being the shy person that I am, was really nervous about playing games with people I didn't know, and so it was really nice to have the first session be run by you and go so well, and it gave
her the confidence to
move on.
Excellent. So I wanted to continue that story. The original Doctor Who story that I did was that the Doctor stumbled upon this fight between pirates and ninjas that was ultimately being orchestrated by the Elder God Cthulhu, and they had to come together and put Cthulhu away. Well, when it was time for the Doctor to leave, Avital's character, Lady Renee, ran off with the Doctor. The reluctant pirate. Ran off with the Doctor and became his companion. So I decided to continue this story, and when I put it up in Con Planner, Adam saw this and was like, I'm signing up for your game. I'm like, okay. Can I be the Doctor? Sure. Avital's the companion. Oh, that'll work.
Makes sense.
So I did. Lance joined up originally as an alternate, but my wife's Dr. Deb stepped out so that she could go to the Magic House with my daughter, and I've been receiving adorable pics for that all day. So it was Adam.
They are flipping adorable.
Yes.
They really are.
It was Adam and Avital, the Doctor and the companion, with 4 aliens who have stumbled upon Teal 5, which is the 5th planet they've explored, which is why I went with that. And they determined through their reluctant captain, not really reluctant, I mean, he was the fifth in line because of all the terrible things that had happened. He fifth or sixth in line.
He was sixth in line, but there were 5 members of the crew.
There was a serious amount of incompetence that went on board that vessel.
It was quite terrible. But he took over as captain, and then they had a systems engineer, a security officer who was an android, the systems engineer was an alien, and Lance here was playing an immortal, a Guinan type, right?
Yeah, I was playing as a Guinan type with the Marvel Universe Watchers, people who only observe but do not interact with. I cannot influence the things that happen.
See, every time you said immortal, immediately I heard, "Here we are, born to be kings, we're the princes of the universe."
Don't lose your head.
So
you were the only one. I mean,
this group of aliens flew their Butterfly-class ship called the Compensator into Earth's orbit and started scanning and found that it would be habitable for their 11 billion...
humanoid creatures.
Yeah. That the captain was convinced was all humanoid because he was a xenophobe.
Was all human.
Well, he himself was human.
Yes.
And so he was convinced that all his other, companions and civilians of this planet that had been... Because their planet had been destroyed or whatever, was convinced everybody was human. And he was vastly, vastly wrong, but he was a very strong, ardently racist against anything that wasn't human. He was a very humanist.
Speciest.
But he was also blind to the fact that he was surrounded by
I think he
aliens.
saw what he wanted to see.
Yes.
That was one of those situations.
My particular race does that. You see me as a member of your race. So the android would have seen me as an android, even though the android is disguised as a human, to make it easier for other people to have him
He
around.
would have failed the Turing test for the android.
So this game was running Quags, as you've listened to the last few episodes of our Quags game. So thought it was a good opportunity to kind of go and the scene was set. They are in orbit of the Earth, and the Doctor's TARDIS materializes on the bridge. Now, the conversation that happens before they materialize on the bridge.
So, the companion and I, she's a pirate from Pirate Times. And yes, I know there's an actual phrase for it, but I'm standing by that.
Yar.
Yar. She's a pirate from Pirate Times, and I said, we should go to Fiji. She's like, I've super been to Fiji. And I said, no, you don't understand. Fiji gets so much better. I mean, they're still pirates, and they still have guns. But they also have cocktails and resorts.
Before you go too far, who played your Doctor in the movies?
Oh, yes, good point. So I asked Josh when I joined the game. First I asked him, can I be the Doctor? And he said, yeah, that's fine. He was an NPC before, but we'll make it work. And I said, okay. And my question to you is do you want me to play an established Doctor? One of the 13 Doctors that they have? Or do you want me to play a new Doctor? A new regeneration of the Doctor? And I said, you do what you want to do. He said, if you want to play Matt Smith, play Matt Smith. If you want to play David Tennant, play David Tennant. And I said, I think I'd like to give my own take on it, just kind of see where it goes. So while we were doing character creation, I basically just said, Josh, build my character, because I'm a con organizer and I had things to do. And he did, and mostly he just put the Doctor, the Doctor, the Doctor, the Doctor.
Mostly? That's
Entirely, that's
Entirely.
what he did. And, which is fine, worked out for me. But I decided that who plays me in the movies was Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. And I think I pulled back a little bit toward the end there with the Jack Sparrow-ness, but pretty much up to that point, it was pretty Jack Sparrow.
No, the character. I mean, I'm not going to rush to the end of the podcast for you, but Jack Sparrow is at heart a romantic.
He is.
So
Absolutely.
you let the romantic moment happen, and then
Well,
for comedic
spoilers.
effects, did the thing that you did.
Yes, spoilers. So yes, I was being played by Johnny Depp as Captain Jack, and my tagline, which did come up a number of times.
Oh, you number of times.
That probably shouldn't have worked.
That should not have.
That should not have worked. Which is my own personal motto.
Sure.
Just because things happen to me, and I work around them, and it probably shouldn't work, but they do. But that said,
And my tagline was, "Really, Doctor?"
which came up far more often than mine did.
I never did hear who played you in the movies.
I don't know that person.
Cave person.
What was
I
it?
didn't pick anyone specific. I posted on Facebook as we were starting the game, who should play me in the movies? And the only, because it's Friday and people are working, the only person that commented was my mom, and she said Minnie Driver. I think that's mostly because of the hair. But,
I can see that.
Totally.
So we're having this conversation. Me and the companion, we're talking about going on vacation, and I wanted to show her Fiji as it is in 2017, not Fiji as it was in 1717. And, I mean, I know there wasn't a specific time frame, but we're talking the golden age of piracy, that's right about that. And so I promised her that, because we've been traveling for a while, she knows very, very well that things don't always go the way they should, on the TARDIS in particular. And so she says, you say we're going to Fiji, but I'm not sure I believe you. No, I promise you we're going to Fiji. It's Sorry. No, I promise you we're going to Fiji. It's totally going to happen. I promise you. Swear. In fact, go down and get your bathing suit on.
Yeah,
and we're going to go.
We're
going to go get your suit on. The next thing you do when you walk out the doors is you'll be on a beautiful white sandy beach with blue waters as far as the eyes can see. So I insisted that she do this, and so she went down and did this. I think somebody even spent a penny to make sure that she actually did it.
Something you may not have realized, because I just now did, you never changed. You did that entire game in your swimsuit.
of course. When would I have had time to change?
I'm sad that we
That's what
named the
happens.
ship before the game started, because had we had that preamble happen before the game really, or after,
Calling the
we
ship
would have called the
Fiji?
ship Fiji.
Yeah.
You see? We made it to Fiji.
But no.
But there was a great argument when we arrived, because
We
basically...
landed. I open the door. I step out. Really, Doctor?
So when I came out and I saw that the view screen was pointed at Earth, I said, well, there's Fiji.
And there it was an argument of, that's not close.
But the water's blue.
But the water's blue, and you can kind of see the white sandy beaches. Oh, wait, no, that's a cloud. So, of course, we've just appeared on the bridge, and everybody's not real happy about random people showing up at the bridge. So, as the doctor, right, naturally, I pulled up the second paper and said, we're here to do an inspection. And they said, our planet has been destroyed, but apparently you work for some agency still. But who am I to judge?
Yeah. Well, their original planet was part of a federation of planets, like you would expect.
Right.
So, of course, it would make sense that you would... You said you were going to... Oh, yeah, that's right. We got a walkie-talkie that might show up every once in a while. But you made the comment that you were an inspector for said federation. So, if that's the case, it has to exist, right? That's a yes and moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually have to respond to this one, so bear with me a second. You want to pause it? So we get on the bridge, and they're, of course, they now think I'm some kind of inspector. Well, they have I think his description was something like a bumbling, slightly ineffective engineer or some such, who was fascinated by the TARDIS. I'm forgetting the details of exactly how this happened.
Okay, no, before we move on, I'm on my phone and I just opened an email from Gen Con, and apparently Gen Con 50 is approaching badge sellout.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
If sales trends continue, badges will be
Has that ever
sold
happened?
out.
Not that I'm aware of.
I just thought that was really cool. I have my badge.
I've got my badge. We're good. But dang.
But no, the engineer, he's
He's a cannibalizer.
he
Which is nothing he
he
eats
cobbles
people.
together things, and he's like, oh, I have one of those, but it's broken. Or, oh, does this work? Yeah, no, it's broken. And so he rushes into the TARDIS.
It starts immediately touching
Immediately
things.
touching
No,
everything.
first he walks in and he says the line.
It's
It's
bigger.
bigger.
It's big on the inside, yeah. I always want to give somebody the opportunity to try and say something different, and yet
Like
they...
it's smaller on the outside?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Claire said.
Yeah.
I love it, though, when they fall back to it's bigger on the inside, because everybody wants that opportunity to walk into the TARDIS and say it's bigger on the inside.
Absolutely. So he walks in. Oh, I remember I was going to be scanning for things. So he walks in. So I walked in. I just let the door open. The engineer went right after me, and immediately he said the line, "It's bigger on the inside." And of course,
I
immediately,
followed too.
yeah, you were with too. Immediately, he starts touching things. He keeps touching,
Pushing
things
something.
and pushing buttons, and all that stuff. And of course, the TARDIS, being the TARDIS, who doesn't seem to much care who she responds to.
Apparently.
She's a little promiscuous in that way.
A little bit.
But she went ahead and took us to the dead smack center of the Time War, which I didn't know right away, unfortunately, because I rolled poorly, and I just kind of owned it. Yeah, pause it. So because of the rather suddenness of our departure, the door of the TARDIS was open. And the engineer looked out at all these just explosions and this big Time War battle happening overhead, and all the Dalek are... That's the plural of Dalek, is Dalek?
I believe so.
Okay. All the Dalek are going at it with the Time Lords, and he is just fascinated by what he perceives to be, what I told him were British robots.
So good.
And I should not have said that, because that actually played... I didn't realize this until just now. That's why he thought they were just robots.
So bravo to him for
Bravo to
playing
him
that.
to just leaning into it. That was amazing. So he reaches out of the TARDIS doors and grabs one by the eye stalk and pulls it into the TARDIS. And I'm like, no! So I close the doors close, start hitting buttons to make the thing. The Dalek starts, just screaming in its, native... Well, not its native. Exterminate, let me go! Let me go! Let me go! And he starts firing randomly into the TARDIS. My poor companion gets hit. But fortunately, this one apparently was equipped with 2 weapons, a disintegrator and a stun gun. Mm-hmm. Because apparently this one had the ability to show mercy. I don't know.
He was a negotiator. That was his skill.
That was
Yeah.
that was their that was the negotiator.
Yes. The commander of the ship that they were looking for.
I hear you.
Yep.
He also can get you a really good president flights.
He's got some land to sell me.
Apparently.
Stuns the companion. I use, as the TARDIS is dematerializing out of the Time War and rematerializing on the good ship, the Compensator, I whip out the sonic screwdriver and I deactivate the Dalek's weapons temporarily, and of course go check on my companion, and I'm able to wake her up.
He immediately started
Rummaging.
Opening up
The engineer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the engineer immediately started just messing with it. The Dalek is sitting
Like
there.
he had a can opener.
He did. He grabbed a crowbar.
He did. He basically had what would equate for a can opener for a Dalek.
A broken crowbar, mind you, because he had every tool he needed that was broken.
Yeah. So he starts, and he literally, at one point, he pops the can open, the top of the thing open, and is like half in the thing. Well, as soon as we land on the ship, the TARDIS is done with this. She has had enough of his Smurf. So she opens the door, expels the 2 of them, and the Dalek is flying Smurf over tea kettle through the air, does a couple of nice rotations, claps shut after, of course, the engineer falls out, and lands across the thing.
On its wheels.
On its feet, lands on its feet. And immediately starts, pointing its gun at everything that'll move. And now, bearing in mind that now the security officer is there, and apparently for whatever reason the bar was on the bridge. There's
Someone had said something that had to do with feelings. The security officer's tagline was, "I have a bad feeling about this."
Yes.
And he had said that, so someone has a bad feeling. I should probably go to them.
Well, your character, let's take a moment and describe your character. Your character looked like Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil, wearing the old-timey, as is depicted, bartender gear from the 1800s. So he's got the ruffly shirt, a bow tie, garters on his arms, a wicked handlebar mustache.
Wicked.
Yep.
Just a wicked mustache.
There you go, Keith. That's for you.
And always cleaning a glass with a semi-dirty cloth, just always rubbing the glass. Never seems to make a drink, but is just always cleaning that single glass.
So here's the best part, though. Here's the best part. You're this immortal character, right? You've been cleaning and wiping out that same glass for the last 500 years. It actually started out as a solid block of glass, and you just hollowed it out.
This is how glasses are made. Immortals with no time. I made another one. I'm done with that one. Give me another.
It gets put into like a vacuum tube and sucked and then shows up at somebody else's bar. Anyways.
So, all of this is going on. I don't even get back on the bridge for a good chunk of it because I'm making sure that my companion isn't dead. I'm a little peeved at this whole situation.
As you should be.
Quite cross, as one might say.
But were your eyebrows crossed?
I was not Peter Capaldi.
Yeah. Okay.
So...
Attack eyebrows!
One of these days you should do this, but have Missy in the mix too. So as I step out of the TARDIS, there's this standoff between the Dalek, who's pointing his disintegrator at the captain. There's the security officer who's got his weapon pointed at the Dalek. The Dalek is trying to negotiate with the engineer. And
Who it thinks is the captain.
The Dalek is not having any more of it, so he decides to go ahead and just take a shot. And misses, thankfully. But at the same time, I whip out the sonic screwdriver to... Oh, no, I remember what happened. The security guy was actually going to shoot the Dalek.
Yes.
And I super didn't want that to happen. So I was going to deactivate the security officer's gun, but apparently it was made out of wood. And we all know the sonic screwdriver does not work on wood. Even now,
Just do wood.
in the Peter Capaldi verse, it still doesn't work. So he just needs an app for wood. And meanwhile, the security officer manages to get the shot off, but the Dalek manages to dodge at the same moment that the companion...
I throw my parasol at it.
You throw your parasol at it. So this
Because
thing is...
when I first stepped out onto what was supposed to be the beaches of Fiji, I'm in my lovely...
Victorian era type swimsuit.
with like a little bag and a parasol.
So she whips the parasol at the thing. So as it's dodging out of the way, it gets parasol to the eye stalk.
Or to the side of
its tin can.
Enough to knock it over.
So it falls down.
But it gets a shot off.
Hard.
But it manages to get a shot off. It basically starts shooting wildly. Well, it hits the TARDIS and the force field goes down. Now the reason why this is important is that earlier I had mentioned that the reason why I didn't want the TARDIS to be ejected into space, which is what the captain really wanted to do.
The Dalek.
The Dalek ejected into space because that was what the captain really wanted to do, was because while it was in proximity to the TARDIS, it was not able to get a signal off to the existing Daleks in this time frame.
And GM was listening.
And apparently the GM was listening, so as soon as the TARDIS's force fields?
I like it. It keeps the farce away.
I don't know it.
Keeps everything very, very strict and serious. So as soon as the TARDIS's force fields goes down, it immediately sends a signal. Now I'm like, get the signal, signal dampeners. As my character runs over to the Dalek and starts trying to deconstruct it. The engineer's like, oh, I can do that. Grabs it, snaps off one of the guns, and the Dalek's like, no, stop, please don't.
Again, the negotiator Dalek.
Do not kill me!
Well, yes, and then so I used the sonic screwdriver to remove the stun weapon, and very absent-mindedly handed over to the
companion.
I put it in my bag.
And she put it in her bag.
And then when an engineer's trying to...
Oh yeah, then she goes over.
Dampeners, I just go over and I'm like... and like turn on the signal.
But immediately she turns on the signal dampeners and immediately proximity sensors start going off. Apparently this ship, while nothing else works, the sensor array is very high quality.
It's a scout ship.
Yeah. So all of a sudden the Dalek ship shows up and my character looks at the thing and says something along the lines of, oh, bugger. And commercial break.
Right, we take 10, 15, a 5-minute break that turned into 20. Not a big deal. That's what happens when you have con runners.
Mm-hmm.
So up to that point, I gotta ask, what were you guys expecting? Anything less? Like Were you expecting the Daleks to not show up, or what?
To be perfectly honest, I half expected the Daleks, the Cybermen. I mean, pick them all of them.
I had a
every last
feeling
one of
that
them.
since we had a Dalek on the ship, more would show up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it would be more than just one ship worth.
Uh-huh.
And
Now-
I thought the Earth was going to be destroyed. I really did.
To be fair, you did kind of. Well, you told me during the bathroom break. But yeah, you said that you were running this as kind of a guess, and you were just reacting to us. So once you said that, it kind of confirmed in my head we're probably going to have more.
Yes.
This is happening. This is going to be a thing. And speaking as somebody that usually is a yes and GM, that's exactly where I would have went. I mean,
Good.
there would have been more Daleks. Although I probably would have gone Lance's route and just like all the Daleks.
They all show up, and you
They
just
all
talk to one.
descend, and now the Doctor has to deal with, a full-scale Dalek invasion on top of the morons on this ship.
I still can't believe that, in all that going on, that that they made the ship a butterfly.
Yeah.
Butterfly class.
So I don't see how a flying butterfly would be in any threat to the Daleks, but it's because they had they had the Doctor.
They had the Doctor.
So
The Doctor, who in the Matt Smith verse used a jammy dodger to make them believe that it was a weapon of mass destruction.
which that comes up a little bit later after we come back from the commercial break.
Just a slight nod. That's
It was
all.
a good nod.
Yeah.
Well, during the break, I also asked Josh, since I am this infinite character and I live in a space between universes and out of time, do I know the Doctor? Do I know the Daleks? And he has me roll for it, and yes, in fact, I know who the Doctor is. I've at least heard of the Doctor. I've not seen this one, but I've seen a Doctor before,
You know all of the Doctor.
and I know who the Daleks are. But part of my character is, my weakness is, I have really a lot of apathy for human problems. I'm a bartender, so you can tell me your problems, and my reaction to it is going to be, how does that make you feel? Which is essentially me saying, I don't care about your... I don't
Really?
effing care about your problem.
Effingheimer.
Effing ham.
I like
Anyways,
Effingheimer better.
whatever. Thanks.
I clapped.
You did. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyways,
Boring. Anyway. So, now we have a ship full of Daleks who want to destroy us. And we have a captain who, as I walk out, he basically, so I walk, I have the TARDIS and everything going on. The captain says, what's going on? I don't understand what's going on. And I said, we need to save these humans. I have to save my people. The humans are the most important thing. And at which point the Doctor turns to him and says, you realize that you are one of two humans on your bridge right now. At which point he flips out and starts looking for the weapons. Now, before this, the ubiquitous bartender has fixed the captain a very strong drink. And has given the captain a very strong drink. Which the captain, in turn, drank. Because he's kind of incompetent. And this is not anything against the guy playing the captain. He flat out said, I'm playing an incompetent captain.
well, and his stats he rolled, I think he had one double-digit number. And remember, in Quags, your goal is to get lower than that number.
Yeah.
But if all of your numbers are already low, it's pretty terrible.
Right. So he almost he starts flipping out, and in the course of this, he just passes out.
No, the
android
security officer. That's
security
right.
officer.
The security officer goes to
I'm gonna calm
subdue him.
down. He just goes to wrap his arms around him to try and stop him from
Freaking out.
freaking out too much. Yeah.
And so the captain just passes out. So the security officer then brings him down to the bridge. Brig. I knew this too, and I'm just
Spaceship jail.
spaceship jail. So I then, right about this point, the Dalek hail the ship. So I answer. And I answer something along the lines of, this is Captain the Doctor, how can I help you today?
Great opportunity for a Yum Yum. Thank you, Captain the Doctor.
It was a great yum-yum too, I appreciated it. And so, of course, they said, the Doctor, what are you doing here, the Doctor? To which I wanted to reply, I freaking live here, but whatever.
You know.
You responded with, that's Captain the Doctor.
That's right. That's Captain the Doctor to you. So, Captain Jack Sparrow.
You have heard of me.
But you have heard of me. So, meanwhile, they're like, well, we are locking weapons on, we will destroy you. And I said, well, you have our commander. It's like, well, you really don't want to do that. Well, why do we not want to do that? We have your commander. We will destroy you. It's like, but more than that, we also have the most powerful weapon in the universe. And of course they're like, what?
Because they don't have their commander, so now you're dealing with a bunch of soldiers. Like, where's our commander? It's like they were in the middle of a war, our commander got taken, so what do? They jump into the ship and go find their commander. They don't stay there. These are the most incompetent Daleks ever. Where's our leader?
So it's like, I have the most powerful weapon in the universe. They're like, what? And I grab Lance's character, the bartender, and I pull him into the shot, and I'm like, behold the Jabberwocky. And they're like, what is the Jabberwocky? The Jabberwocky is the most powerful weapon in the universe. What is his power? And they're like,
Trade secret.
what is his power? You know what, never mind. Lock weapons. I gotta ask, why didn't the weapons work?
They failed the shot.
So...
And I yum-yummed and they failed it again. So
they're going to shoot on us. He went ahead and just fired, and they failed. But like
Puffs of smoke.
Like, puffs of smoke come up. So immediately the doctor's like, "Oh, the power of the Jabberwocky! So great is his power." So they come together and start talking, and it takes longer because they're dumb.
They asked, how does this power work? And you said trade secret.
I did. That's a trade secret. So they confab for a minute. That is now the third time I've used that in this con. Thank you very much.
Confab.
No pun intended. And they come back. He's like, we will take the Jabberwocky if you may have our commander. So I mute the thing and I turn to Lance's character and I'm like, how do you feel about leading the Dalek? And his immediate response was, that's my line.
Yep. Yeah, how do you feel?
So he rolls it. He rolls his weakness.
Yep.
And he rolled super apathetic.
Yep. Didn't care.
Didn't care. So, sorry.
It's okay.
Closing.
Behold the field in which I grow my effing hands. Behold, it is barren. I think was how I said it.
He did.
While I was muted, I turned to my companion, and I turned to the engineer, and I basically said, "Go down, get." Right, because earlier I had with the scanning array when I had scanned the Dalek ship, I learned that there were about what did you say, like
120 civilians.
120 civilians on this thing. So I'm like, okay, I super can't just use this ship in combat. So I turned to them and I'm like, you need to get these people upstairs in the TARDIS right now. And they're like,
No, you said
Oh.
the engineer. You
I did a
went
comm.
out over comm and you told everybody to come up to the bridge and get in the TARDIS, and nobody was moving. And then the engineer said, "No, they're asleep."
So I sent them down to wake them up and bring them up and get them in the TARDIS. And I'm not exactly clear on what happened, but apparently they got most of them up.
So
Them woke up.
he said that the sleeping worked great. The waking up did not work so well. So I sent the two of them
He used
down
that
there.
part for something.
The sensors apparently.
So they basically got each rolls 3 rolls each of some sort. They both succeeded on 2, so 4 out of 6, 2/3. They woke up 2/3 of the group.
There you go.
The rest, I was like, now you got to figure out how you're going to get the 40 of them up here. That's where he brought out his tractor.
John Deere wedding mower. That's what we want.
Yes, and dragged them upstairs.
In their sleeping chambers, not their corpses.
They're frozen corpses just bouncing along behind this thing. So he drags them into the TARDIS. Meanwhile, the security guy had brought the captain down to the brig and had put him in the brig. Well, the captain wanted to save his ship from these marauding aliens. So he immediately starts trying to escape. Now, the security operative comes back to the bridge because I needed him up there to take the Dalek commander into the TARDIS as well. Because I'm not going to leave him there to die. I'm not going to leave an innocent, unarmed anything to die because I'm going to flip the doctor.
This is a literal unarmed Dalek.
Yeah.
The no-eyed, no-armed, flying purple people eater.
No arms, flying purple people eater.
By the time it was over with the companion and the security guard's help, the Dalek was basically in the ICU on the TARDIS.
Yes. Because on my character sheet, you have a gimmick and a weakness, and I put the companion as that was my gimmick and my weakness.
So your weakness hit,
and I hit it. And
you had to take care of the
felt
Dalek.
really bad you felt really bad for that Dalek. So the captain comes back, and he'd stopped at the armory on his way up, and he was pointing a pistol, and of course the doctor's super not happy about having a pistol pointed at him. But he starts going, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" And the bartender pipes in to just to the doctor, and it was like, "We need to hear him out. We need to hear what he has to say." And so the doctor lets him talk. And the captain basically said, I need to know what's going on. I need to rescue my people. I need to save my people from these things." And Lance, out of character, reminded me that he really just wants to help, and I appreciate that.
but he was saying about how aliens, like, they try to help. They always humans end up dying, and et cetera, et cetera.
He explained his xenophobia.
Right, he explained his xenophobia.
Which gave you an opportunity to...
And unfortunately, the doctor was not as compassionate as I think he probably could have been, but it did give him the opportunity to kind of understand where he was coming. And he said, basically, you are. What we're doing right now, we will save your people. We are going to save your people.
They went from a combat situation to a roleplay situation in a heartbeat.
It did. And it was amazing. It was awesome.
Well, and part of the captain's background also included that he had this thing for naval traditions, basically, and he was going to go down with the ship. It didn't matter what anyone.
Well, we didn't know Captain the Doctor's plan to use the ship as a weapon. Characters didn't know. Players, we kind of figured it out.
Well, here's the thing. There's a specific reason why I didn't tell you. Because the doctor never tells anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, players kind of figured it out.
You guys kind of figured it out. I was passing notes to the GM.
Character was just like, this is going to happen. Something's going to happen, and I gotta go down with my ship. After you had kind of made it the point that that's what was going to happen. You were going to fly the ship into them. Either we were going to become the new masters of the Daleks, like you'd said, or you were going to blow up the ship. Either way, the humans are saved, and the two of us, well, the one of us, I was supposed to be the one. The one of us was going to go and be on that ship, and that's cool, because, that's the moment.
Right.
He, the captain, said, no, it's got to be me, because of that naval tradition. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I'll allow it, because that's his hero moment.
Yeah.
Now go ahead.
Meanwhile, so the captain makes the decision that this is what's going to happen. And this is what's going to happen. But even the companion pipes in and says, are you sure?
Oh, well, first she tries to convince him, and then she's like, okay, she says, give me a shot of rum with the bartender.
Totally.
She has one. The captain has one. There is a tranquilizer in that shot for the captain. However, he makes his botany roll and is like, whoa, well,
that's a strong one!
He failed it first, and then he yum-yummed to succeed because he wanted that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I said to the captain.
So we get... I'm on the TARDIS at this point.
Yep. I almost cried again.
The captain has made his decision. I'm on the TARDIS. I'm just waiting for my companion to get on there. And so she gets in, and she's standing watching out the TARDIS door. And she reaches into her bag, and she pulls out the stun gun that she'd gotten off, that I'd given her off the dollar. And she aims it, and she takes a very careful aim at the captain, because she's bound and determined to save this guy's life. And the doctor snaps his fingers, and the doors to the TARDIS close. And boy, was she ticked.
Really? Doctor?
It was the perfect tagline out the moment.
It really was.
At this point,
and
the TARDIS... Oh, you have more.
No, just like what he says that have I ever let you down besides
Once or twice.
once or twice? Yeah, so and I'm still like I'm still unhappy with him. But then,
Right.
And then,
TARDIS materializes away from the ship. The Immortal Watcher and the Captain fly the ship into the Dalek ship that is there. And just before it closes, just before the launch base or whatever, cargo boat, whatever, closed, a timer starts, and the TARDIS rematerializes around the Captain and the Immortal. And as the explosion occurs, the TARDIS gets out of there, saving these people. As awesome as the scene as it was, because that's exactly how the explosion would occur, but then they'd come back for commercial, and you'd see the Captain and the Immortal basically staring at the doors of the TARDIS. But of course, they don't know that's what's happened. What does the Captain say?
So this is the afterlife, huh?
It was so great!
And then I said, and how does that make you feel?
And then the doctor came over and spouted some stuff about how xenophobia is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good roleplay
good.
moment as
Oh,
well.
it was so good. It was
That was worthy of the show.
you can't
Thank you.
It's one thing to
go out and
die for your beliefs. It's another to
To live and see them through.
yeah,
and to work past them and
such a good monologue.
and then
And then the best part, sorry, can I say the word?
I don't remember the word, but sure.
Okay, you can Mario jump it if it's too
Okay.
bad. So he basically said, so basically what you can do is you can die, die in a blaze of glory, or you can stop being a and live the rest of your life helping these people out. I don't know if you could use that or not.
I don't either, but we'll figure it out.
It's British. We're fine.
There you go.
It's a close one.
It's we might have culturally appropriated it. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
well, people here don't really use it that much, but it's really bad over there.
Yeah.
Do you have an English British literature?
I honestly don't know. I'm not paying nearly that much attention to it.
Fair enough.
If you're in England and you're listening to this, we're sorry.
I'm not. Super not.
Yeah, well, you're not
I'm also
member
not
of
on
the
these.
established facts.
I'm also not a member of the established facts, so I'm super not sorry.
So I gotta ask, most memorable moment of the game for you, Lance.
Honestly, most memorable moment of the game, the captain getting his moment. The I'm going to die, and when Adam shut the doors and realizing, character-wise, the doctor is going to let this captain have his death at sea moment. That this guy probably has been reading about and secretly lusting in his heart. If he's going to go, this is the way he wants to go. That was the best moment for me. And then it got ruined, but in a nice way.
Ish. It got ruined in a Doctor Who sort of way.
It was, yeah, that whole moment and just conversation between the companion and the doctor, how she just so upset that he would let this happen, and then the doctor's speech to him about how you have to prove yourself by living and not just by going out.
So for me, that speech came from the heart. Not from the doctor's heart, from mine. One of the doctor's hearts. But from mine. And that's pretty much how I feel in general about both suicide and racism. You have to live your truth, and I'm perfectly fine with you living your truth, but if your truth is what's there to harm other people, no, not allowed. And if you're going to kill yourself, great, but then that's the easy way out. The hard thing is living through the mistakes that you've made and making amends for them. That's the hard part. And if you really truly want to make amends, suicide isn't the way to do it.
And then we prologued the game. Oh, I'm sorry, Josh.
Sorry. Well,
Epilogue, I'm sorry.
for me, the most interesting thing was seeing these two, frankly, clashing ships, two teams, come together, because the Doctor puts himself in this situation all the time, in all the stories, that he and his companion have to figure out how to deal with the people in front of him to stop the thing that's affecting all of them. And watching everyone kind of work together, and I'm really appreciative of Lance and John, and I'm totally forgetting the other two guys' names right now.
Simon and shoot, what's the last guy's name?
I don't remember.
I feel really
I
bad.
feel bad too.
Was Simon the son or the dad?
Simon was the son.
Son. So the father-son
And Simon's dad.
Right.
Simon and Simon's
dad. They actually came back from Fear the Con 7. Both of them were in the original game. At least
were they?
Simon was.
Simon was. I don't remember.
Okay, Simon was. So the son was for sure. And that was really cool to find out. But they went with it. And I'm always concerned as a game master if I'm got a continuing story that new players are going to feel like they don't have the history in that. And I think what Quags lends to that is the ability for everybody to, especially doing a character creation beforehand, you can work all that out so you guys have your history before the game starts.
Yeah, the two of you, Adam and Avital, had your characters pre-made. The rest of us had to make our characters.
Well,
we were talking amongst ourselves during that time. Okay, which role do you want to play? Well, I want to play this guy. Well, I want to play this guy. Then the captain wanted to be the ship's counselor, but we had the bartender person already made, so that kind of role was already filled. So the engineer guy said, "Just be the captain."
Well, we 100% cajoled him into being the captain.
Oh, totally.
You did, but it was the best thing for him.
But it was really the best thing.
Great.
It was really the best thing. And to the point that you were making about the dynamic between the doctor and the companion, you and I are probably the most avid Doctor Who fans I know, with the exception of my mom. So you and I know the dynamic between the Doctor and the companion inside and out. And so while we didn't have, we were handed character sheets that were pre-generated, you and I do have the foreknowledge of the dynamics between the Doctor and the companion. So I think, and we both fell into those roles so naturally that it worked really, really well.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Lance, you had something else you wanted to add?
Oh,
there?
in the epilogue, we
Yes.
How did all that resolve, Adam?
We did a little denouement at the end. Closing action. My big theater terms.
Thank you, Five.
Thank you, Lance, for going with me on that. Seriously, I say that and people are like, what the effing hammer are you doing? Anyway, so the epilogue was great because there was some great closings. Because, we still don't have a planet for these 11 billion people to be on. And so I'm like, the captain, after I saved his life, we had this great moment, we had the Doctor Who speech of, it's a lot harder to continue to make amends for yourself, all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, but I still have all these people that I have to take care of. I'm like, I got you, don't worry. So using the vasty knowledge of the TARDIS and her libraries of all time and space,
Wibbly wobbly,
timey-wimey, we managed to find an unpeopled planet that was capable of sustaining human life.
and it just happened to be millions of years in the past of this same planet. So we had the Hitchhiker's Guide moment.
The origin of man.
And the Dalek, started working with the engineer, and they
It felt like he started mentoring the engineer.
They prepared stuff together, or the engineer would kind of fix it, and then break it, and the Dalek.
That's a sitcom I would watch.
That's a buddy cop movie.
You're right.
The Dalek and the engineer.
And, they replaced the Dalek's shooting arms
apparatus
with broken crowbars.
With, broken crowbars.
One of them was a sonic crowbar.
Sonic crowbar, it's true.
Yeah.
The captain ended up marrying
an alien. Yep, one of the aliens that they had saved. Because the planet they'd been on was part of this, kind of United Federation of Planets type of thing, and was completely cosmopolitan as far as the different types of aliens.
The captain thought everyone was human.
Yeah, he just was,
because he was completely race blind.
His hatred was so blinding that he just assumed everyone else was human.
They all were humanoid and
right,
relatively.
So, but in the end, he winds up marrying a human and has
an
a life
alien.
with her. An alien, and builds a life with her.
Oh, one moment that I liked that we didn't touch on was as the engineer is getting the people that were still in stasis into the TARDIS. I show them where to take them, and they have to be plugged in. And he's like, how do we do this? And he starts like messing with things, and I'm like, stop! I got this.
There was this, and I made him roll part of it, but they ROLL part of it, and they also ROLE part of it, because the engineer on his ship, he's the guy. Whether he breaks everything or not, he's the guy that plugs everything and makes it work. But on the TARDIS, because the Doctor's not there, it's the companion. And there had to have this moment between the two of them. Look, it's my ship. Let me get this taken care of for you, so that we don't have any problems. It was really entertaining to watch the two of them there.
That was good. That was very good.
This is more of a comedy thing. I think a good way to end on this. The frickin' the security officer, as the conversation is happening between the companion and the captain about trying to convince the captain to come on board, the security officer pipes up and goes, "Well, he has been quite irrational in all of his decisions, and he's very xenophobic."
Yes. That was fantastic.
He did a really good job of playing that character.
Well, and first of all, I think he was channeling his inner Shatner, because, oh my god.
Oh my goodness. He spoke with a robotic pause.
It's like Data and Shatner. It was ridiculous and awesome.
As we discussed in the episode that we recorded pre-Fear the Con, the investment was there. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to kick the con off properly, I'm glad to know that I was able to give you guys an opportunity to invest in your characters.
This is a great way to do it. Well, okay, I'm sorry. You handed me the Doctor.
I know.
I was flipping invested.
You asked for it.
I did.
And we have a new watcher, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And at the
that's
end.
right.
The end.
So at the very, very end, the Doctor turns to the bartender and offers him a spot in the TARDIS. But I made a comment to the table, and I said, but he never not calls him Jabberwocky ever again.
And the bartender always calls him Captain the Doctor.
So there's a joke for you. The Captain, the Doctor, and the Jabberwocky walk into a bar. And the rest is history.
How do you feel about that?
And the companion ducks.
Hey.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope if you were at the con, you had a good con. And if not, you should be here next year, because I expect Fear the Con 11 to be even bigger
We are
and better.
doing away with numbers. From here on out, it's just Fear the Con.
Yep, Fear the Con 11 it is. I mean, what?
Just Fear the Con, Josh.
Fear the Con X1.
FearTheCon.com.
Fear the Con.
FearTheCon.com.
FearTheCon.com. Toodles.
Is that a website?
FearTheCon.com is a super website.
It's
It's our
seriously,
website.
yeah. FearTheCon.com and
I'm
Complanner.com.
always on Facebook and Complanner.
Yeah, it's definitely a site. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway.
The continuing existence of Fear the Con will be Fear the Con, minus numbers, except for those of us that wear shirts with
we'll probably do
Sharpies.
taglines too. I mean, we'll do like names and whatever. Because this was technically not Fear the Con 10, it was Fear the Con X Con.
Right, next year's Fear the Con will be the Tenna era.
Fear the Con. It'll be Fear the Con 2 TOO.
What? No, it was Matt Smith.
I was
Was
going to
11.
say Matt Smith was 11.
No, yeah.
Well,
It's
10,
Yeah.
11, or 12.
Okay,
Tenant.
no.
do you
David
count...
Tennant is the 10th Doctor because his name is Tennant.
Well, hold on though. Are you counting the War Doctor?
Yes.
No.
Yes and
The
no.
War
You
Doctor.
have to count the War Doctor.
You do, but he's not.
But
He's not
as the
numerical.
numbers.
Yeah. There have been 13 Doctors, but Peter Capaldi is the 12th. So, thank you all for listening.
Now that is an established fact.
Timey-wimey.
That is an established fact. There are 13 Doctors, but Capaldi is the 12th.
Yes.
Despite being the most recent.
Yes.
Do we have a fact for the fact or after the fact?
I do not.
Adam?
I don't even know what that is.
A fact. Are we establishing a
We
fact?
just established the fact.
We did. There are 13 Doctors, and Capaldi is the 12th.
That's right. Okay, bye.
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 See ya.
Please visit us at www.theestablishedfacts.com and our Facebook page, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts. If you would like to support us by buying some merchandise, visit cafepress.com/castingrobot.
Bonus.